Hey folks, welcome back to another week of Money and Politics Now, and I'm happy to be joining you after what I hope for you was a good weekend. And it's nice to just kind of take some time off and do nothing sometimes. I actually went into St. Louis and kind of visited some of my old haunts and some different restaurants and things. It was fun, and just went down, came back same day, and then did a variety of things. And today we're having monsoon rains on and off. It could break out while I'm recording, and so you may hear, perhaps, if it happens, some of that going on. A gloomy day, and I tell you, I had been so unmotivated today. But we did get some news. It was a flat market. I mean, just kind of a mucky market. Humbl went down a bit today. I don't think on day to day this necessarily matters. I mean, it would matter if it fell down to, 2 cents, but it doesn't matter if it goes down at 8 cents and then the next day it goes up to $1 or whatever. It really doesn't matter too much one way or the other, in my estimation. I'm not day trading it. We did 10 million shares. Another thing I'm looking at, and I've talked about, this is the ETX dig on oil and gas, and it went up to $6.47, a gain of almost a little over 4.5%. So you can see that's one day, and if we look at 1 month, you can see the chart of it going up. As I said the other day, it's nice to have some diversity, but the other thing that we should mention is everything is impacted by oil and gas. And so you want to watch what this is doing, because whether it's you or I pumping gas at the station, or whether it's what we're going to be paying for food for delivery, there is a component of oil and gas in virtually everything we do. Here's where you can write me, and I responded to a number of emails earlier today, so thanks for that. I didn't have some answers to everything, but I try to answer what I can. You can follow me on Twitter here, and I'll respond to, or try to respond to some of that. The big news that came out today is we got the first quarter earnings came out for Humbl, and it says for the period ending March 31st, so this is from the beginning of the year through the end of March, ostensibly, but actually there's some other information in here as well. And we're going to touch base on that. What I had said, by the way, the information, there are profit and loss statement included in here as you would expect, but it doesn't format properly on my software here, so I'm not bringing up the numbers for that reason. The other thing I said is I expected that we would have a loss during the first quarter, and we did when you brought in the expenses, which is to be expected, the payroll and everything else that you're paying for. But what was interesting to me is that we had this that covered some of the some operating information that was after March 31st, and this was in part of the information and in the report, and it was I don't know how many pages, but it's an extensive report. But as you can see here, during the period from April 1st through May 16th, and so again that's part of the second quarter, the company was able to add 7,500 customers to Humbl Financial, which is estimated to grow the revenues of that segment by $37,425 a month. In addition, the company launched their mobile app on April 16, 2021, and has amassed over 35,000 downloads with over 30,000 active user accounts that contain a password and username, and over 13,000 merchant accounts. Well, those numbers are all important. I certainly like the merchant accounts. I think, as I've said weeks ago, that this is one of the key metrics that I'd be looking for. Are merchants signing up for the information? In fact, one of the people that I was responding to, we were talking about it and said, they wanted to know about how many merchants were signing up. And at the time, I didn't know. So now we have the 13,000 merchant accounts. And also they were, I should say, concerned about whether or not we're getting enough marketing. I referenced in my last video, which I did on Friday, there was one merchant who had said how Humbl, using the Humbl app, had saved him $14 compared to had he received payment from a credit card company. And the concern was, are we getting that word out to merchants? I can't answer that. I think they are doing some marketing that apparently went out, I believe, on Facebook today, Humbl, but we'll have to see. So we had over 13,000 merchants accounts come in since the app was launched, looking at the second paragraph here, on April 16, which is exactly almost a month ago as I record this. So we'll have to see. That's one of the things I want to look at. And then we got between the growth in revenues by fees generated by Humbl Financial and through the sales of merchandise in Humbl Marketplace from April 1 of 2021 through May 16. So that's a 6-week period there. As well as from proceeds received from convertible notes and equity investments, the company's current cash position has grown to $4,538,337. Okay, so what that tells me is we got $4.5 million, but it doesn't tell me much about how the shares or that information, how much of it was broken, to break it down. How much was from Humbl Marketplace? How much of it was from convertible notes? How much was from equity sales? I don't know. I want to get metrics that are going to be telling me that we are doing well in the core functionality of the business. And that's the thing that we don't know. And as I said in my last video, and I said in other weeks, on Humbl, we are not going to get real hard information until we get, I think, to at least July. And that's when we'll be, I say, beginning to get information. Certainly you could say this is a beginning, and it is a beginning. It's just that in the first quarter of your operations, the very first quarter that you've ever done, you're not going to have much meat on the bone, as I say. You're going to have spent most of your efforts trying to get things established and set up and get the ETXs operating in the United States and getting the phone app out and getting the new hires. And I can tell you, as a guy who's been an employer most of my life, hiring people is extremely frustrating. Let's put it that way. So as we look at the share price today, March 7 or May 17, and it's certainly lower than all of us would like, let's consider that we've made progress as a company with all the things that we know, the Tickery, the Aria, the Monster, the hiring of 15 people, the ETXs and getting them approved in the United States. We're seeing the revenues grow. We just had Brian mention to us that Tickery did $1 million in a 30-day period. We just saw that we have the shares of, or the Humbl Financial bringing in $37,000 a month based upon 7,500 customers signing up there. extrapolate that across the world, and you can see that I would say, what do we make of all this? A couple of things. One, we're on our way. And again, I think we need to get that second and then that third information, third quarter information. Right now, this is like one dot on a chart, and we need that second dot, and we need that third dot, and we need that fourth dot, and then we'll start to be able to see the progression. Are we growing? Are we losing? Are we holding on to the customers the way we want? This is, bare bones business, customer acquisition, getting income from them, etc. So there's a lot of information on these. I don't know how many pages. There's a lot of information on this report that came out. So if you want to, of course, you can go through it and delve into it. I haven't had the chance to really look at a whole lot of it. I Googled for a number of things, and that's why I pulled out the things that I pulled out. Now, one last thing as we go here. We had the information come out, I think it was on Saturday, that George Sharp, who is the CEO of Forwardly, came out and said that he was no longer, that he's resigned as an advisor to Humbl. And people had written me privately and said, what do I make of it? So what I'm going to tell you is, first of all, I'm guessing. Okay, I'm going to have an educated guess here. But I think that George Sharp is, to the extent that he has an expertise, I think his expertise, as I understand it, is in the over-the-counter market. And that's really his focus. And so he was, for Brian Foote, a valued asset to come in and advise on the merger that Humbl wanted to do, Block 30 Labs coming in with Tesoro so they could do the SPAC and get to be a publicly traded company. And they did that in December, and that went down well. And George, I think, as he said in his resignation letter that he put out on Twitter, that he disagreed with some of the things that were going on in the last 6 weeks or so, if I'm remembering his letter. I don't have it in front of me. But the point is, he was admitting that he was in disagreement with Brian, although he still acknowledged that Brian is, a genius in what he does. But George was saying he disagreed, and he left. So I'm taking it that it's nothing more than Brian didn't probably feel that he needed to use George as an advisor anymore, and that what Brian was trying to do wasn't really in George's sweet spot of his expertise. So basically, I don't worry about it. That's the bottom line. I don't worry about it. I think Brian Foote and George Sharp probably have a mutual respect for one another, but they're different people, and they got very different styles.